we're going to continue our journey through the elements of art.
The elements of art are the building blocks used by artists to create a work of art. There are 7 elements of art: line, color, shape, form, value, space, and texture.
Today's element is value.
Value is one of the 7 elements of art. Value deals with the lightness or darkness of a color. Since we see objects and understand objects because of how dark or light they are, value is incredibly important to art. A value scale is a guide to creating a range of value. Good pieces of art have a full range of value. Many artists use value scales as they work, identifying specific values and adding them to appropriate spots. When discussing value, it is important to remember your light source. A light source is an area in which light is originating from. Value is creating the illusion of light. When creating value in your artwork, you're adding highlights and shadows. Highlights are the areas on an object where the light is hitting, while shadows are the areas where no light is present. These important concepts give the illusion of light in a light source. You can find values of a color by making its tints and shades. Tints are light values that are made by mixing a color with white. For example, when you add white to red, you get pink. So pink is just a red tint. When you add black to a color, it's called a shade. Mixing a bit of black to red creates a deep burgundy. Shades are dark values. A tone is produced either by mixing a color with gray or by both tinting and shading. Techniques used for applying shading to an object are quite varied. Each technique produces different texture and feel to the drawing. The drawing medium used may determine the shading technique that is applied in the drawing. Some techniques artists use are blending, hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling. Artists are able to create the illusion of light by using value.
Value is how light or dark an object is. It's really about light. So it's about shadows, it's about the way the light is shining on an object. So we're going to be doing that today. We're going to make some 3D looking shapes by using some value. We'll use a value scale. In your packet, you have a page about value.
So value again is the lightness or darkness of an object,
a shape or a form. Okay, so on this worksheet, we're going to look at a value scale. Artists make value scales to show light or dark. So to do this, I always like to start with the dark and work my way light. Now there's an example above. Okay, so I'm gonna do this a little sped up, but when you're doing it dark, you're gonna push hard, and as you get lighter, you're gonna push lighter. That's really the key to this. Okay, now there's my value scale. Now I'm going to use my value scale to kind of help me out with this, to shade the sphere. Now, to shade a sphere, I'm gonna have my highlight where the light is shining. A highlight is wherever the light is hitting the object. So my light is gonna be there, so it's gonna be my lightest, and it's gonna work our way to dark. I actually labeled this for you so it makes it a little bit easier. But this time I'm gonna start from my light and I'm gonna work my way dark. Okay, now, if you notice that I kind of went in a little bit to try to blend in those middle areas, even though there is a stripe there, I do want to start to try to blend. Our activity for the day, besides this worksheet, would be to make our own shapes, okay? So we're gonna use our shapes and we're gonna try to make them into 3D. Now, I'm gonna do with my pencil first, and I'm going to do cones. So today I'm gonna show you guys how to do this with making cones look 3D. So I'm gonna do my 2 lines, I'm gonna draw my little cone shape. Now, you're gonna decide which way your light is shining from. So I'm gonna use this direction just because. So I'm gonna leave this area white and light, okay? And as I get away from that area, I'm gonna slowly push a little bit harder on my pencil. So again, I'm starting light on my shape. And then I'm gonna get a little bit darker as I move away from this light where the light is shining. Now I'm gonna go back and slowly blend it. So the dark is over here, and I'm gonna move my way light. Now the drop shadow on the ground is going to be where, you know, the shadow is on the ground. So I always like to start at the bottom really dark, because if you look at a shadow, it's always really dark near the object, and then as it gets further away, it starts to get a little bit lighter and it blends out. So I'm gonna again be dark near the object, and as it gets farther away, I'm gonna push a little bit lighter on my pencil. If the light is shining from this direction, the shadow is on this side. You can use your finger a little bit to blend. I always like to use my finger to blend. Okay, so here is my cone with a pencil. I also like to show you a cone with color pencil, because if you have color pencils at home, it's really fun to do that. If you watched my candy cane video, this is going to be very similar to that. So I'm going to start with my white, and I'm going to do that on the highlight side. Then I'm going to get a light and a dark of the color. So I'm gonna get a light, this one's gonna be like a teal, an aqua green, and then this one is a blue green. So let's do my dark side. So I'm gonna take the dark, and I'm going to go around the edge, just like I did with my candy cane. And I am going to add my shadowed side. Then in the middle, I'm gonna take my lighter color, and I'm going to color that middle area. Now, right now, it just looks like 3 stripes color, right? So I'm gonna go back a little bit in with my dark, and I'm going to get it a little bit lighter, push a little bit lighter, not so hard. Get my white, and I'm going to take my white, and I'm going to then go on top of this teal color. Go back in a little bit to the teal. And I'm going to then make a little shadow with my pencil on the ground too. Again, if the light's shining from this direction, the shadow is going in this direction. Okay, so I have my pencil, my color pencil, and I also want to show you a crayon. So if you have crayons at home, you can use some crayons. Now, once again, I'm going to go with a white, light, dark, okay? Draw my shape, okay? Take my white crayon, add a nice little highlight right here. Then I'm going to take my dark blue, go down the edge, nice and dark by the shadowed area, nice and light by the highlight. Then I'm gonna get my light blue, go in the middle. Again, I have 3 little stripes here. I want to get rid of the stripe look. I'm gonna go back to my white. Back in with my dark. Okay, so I have color pencil, I have crayon, I have pencil. I also am going to show you, and this is all going to be sped up, I'm going to show you some pastel. Now you could use oil pastel, or if you have chalk pastel, I'm going to use some chalk pastel. But you can do this with chalk pastel or chalk as well. Same thing, dark, light, and medium. Okay, I have my different 3D shapes using value, using light and dark to make them look 3D. So making my 3D shapes turn into like what they look like, forms. We are also going to talk about tinting and shading. A tint is when you add white to a color. So a tint is when you add white, so you're tinting the color. When you add black to a color, you're shading. So I'm gonna show you some examples right now.
I'm going to start off by putting my pure hue or my pure color on the paper. So this will be starting my value scale. Now I'm going to use white to make a tint. A tint is a lighter color. You always add white into a color to get a tint. I'm going to add the color on top of it. The less of the color you use and the more white, the lighter the tint will be. So you always, always, always want to remember to add the dark into the light, not the light into the dark. I created a tint of blue or a light blue. I'll add less blue to make a lighter tint. I can always add more white to make a lighter tint. Now I'm going to make a shade by adding black. You always want to add the dark into the light. Black is a powerful, super, super strong color, so you only want to add a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. I'll add a little more black to make a darker shade.
Okay, so now I have some shades and tints. Tints add white, shades add black. I hope you had fun today exploring value and talking about tints and shades, making some 3D shapes. I cannot wait to see what you created. I hope things look like they're popping off the paper with the way you created your highlights and your shadows. Please make sure that you're posting them on Artsonia, post them on Google Classroom, send me a picture of them. I love seeing your work. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and keep creating. Bye, friends.